Flesh and Blood's newest set, Super Slam, released alongside of a bevy of reprints aimed by LSS to reduce the overall deck prices for new and returning players. But how much did it actually change things in the short term, and what will we see and expect in the long term? Let's go ahead and talk about that today. And to do so, we're going to go ahead and jump onto TCG Player. This is of course not sponsored by TCG Player, but they have a fantastic way of displaying long-term and short-term effects of card prices on the specific cards in question. So let's talk through the reprints. There were a couple of ways that LSS actually approached the reprints in this set. So let's start with Flick Knives. Flick Knives was reprinted with a new art at the same rarity, and I believe it was only printed in rainbow foil. Correct me in chat if I'm wrong. Go down there and shout at me if they did print a cold foil version, because I looked and it appears that there's maybe like a non-foil version and a rainbow foil version, but not a cold foil. Nevertheless, if we look at the original Outsiders version of this, of course, this card spiked in popularity the moment that Syndra Drakai of Retribution released, and that's, you can see right there, that's the spike in price. Syndra, this is a linchpin piece for her. Before that, it really wasn't seeing a ton of play. There wasn't a lot of use case for it, but now it became like this very important piece for Syndra to actually just do what she does. And Syndra, including right now, is very good and has continued to be pretty solid in the meta. Right now, I would say she's the best aggro deck. So this comes at the perfect time for LSS to reprint this card, and you can see as the reprint was coming, this is the rainbow foil pricing. Even though it says rainbow foil, I think this is actually displaying cold foil data. Either way, this is the rainbow foil pricing, and you can see it kind of hovers around that $100 mark. And right now it's saying that it's as low as $95, and that's why I think it says that this is the cold foil pricing, because if we look down here, you can buy the original printing off of TCG Player for like 38 bucks. Okay, so this dropped greatly in price. Now if we go all the way to the cold foil side of things, you can see the cold foil is priced at like $145 to $160 for some of these print runs, which is why I kind of think that this is somewhere in the ballpark in that middle range, where it's trying to sort of just get a median of all the price runs. But keep in mind that if you're just trying to functionally play this game, this card is now far more affordable because of this printing. This printing right here, the Super Slam version with some fantastic art, by the way, by Iswardi, is now only $20. The new printing of it, you can pick up for 20 bucks. That is it. And that is great. I like the idea of LSS targeting these very specific siloed cards. Like this isn't a piece of equipment, but it can only be played by assassins and ninjas, and it's only usable by the heroes that really care about flicking. I like that this playability is taken into account and is reflected in the price, right? It doesn't make any sense for a Flick Knives. Well, I guess it makes some sense if the hero's super good and this is a little linchpin piece. Long term, it doesn't make a ton of sense for this card to be $150, right? And so a reprint here, one, knocks the price down, makes that hero more affordable, more playable to some degree, and allows you to pick that card up in a new set and open it yourself. So I think this is a success. The same can be said for what they did with New Horizon. I'm not going to dive too deep into New Horizon, but a similar thing here is on display. New Horizon needed a reprint because its original print run came out in Tales of Aria. That was years ago. And so having a reprint here means that people now have access to it. Was it super sought after in this current meta? No. Of course, it can be played by Riptide, and you could splash it into Marlin, but you're not gonna, because you have other reasons for playing this or something else into Marlin. But you could have played this into Riptide if you cared to. Do you need it right now? No. But is it good to have the supply available for the next time it becomes meta relevant? Yes, because having a player go 4 years back just to get this card, let's say, you know, they print a Ranger next year that really wants New Horizon, it's going to make this cost prohibitive. Now it's not. So that's really, really nice. Of course, they could print it again in that set, and maybe they will, but they already have this on the docket and you can get it for very, very cheap. Plus, if you want to pick it up for Living Legend format, you have access to it, right? The biggest and most, I think, impactful reprints come from Felling of the Crown and Plow Under. These two, to me, are the best thing they possibly could have done, because Felling of the Crown was fetching a huge high price for a card that is siloed into specifically only Earth. Now, this card was playable, of course, in the 2 very meta-relevant Earth heroes right now, and also in the Living Legend format. If you're looking to pick up and play Starvo, you could play Felling of the Crown as well. And it was fetching a very high price tag. The rainbow foils were going for upwards of like $70 at a certain points, and I was able to trade a couple of mine for some key Gravy Bones pieces for plus trades on my end. Now, because of the reprint, anyone can pick up a playset of these cards for like $24 per, and this is the original printing. The new reprints, $12 and $5 respectively. I think, and again, I said this with the previous cards, I think it's really smart to reprint these types of siloed cards and get their price down. If the price of these cards is dictating like upwards of $50, $60, $70 for cards that can only be played in siloed heroes and not generics, these cards getting reprinted and bringing those price down, it makes a ton of sense, because you're not pricing out, specifically because of just Majestics and other pieces, you're not pricing out people from playing something like a Verdance or a Florian in Classic Constructed for the lifespan of that hero. So this, again, also worked very well. Now, the questions on these next couple, that's where we start to have some question marks. Snag got reprinted. Snag was always, and basically for the life of it, has always hovered between $20 and $40, at least for the past year or so. And the reason for that being, Snag comes in and out of metagames based on its Silver Bullet status. It is very much a Silver Bullet card. It's an answer to specific decks. And in this case, it has been answering for the past couple of months Assassins and Assassin's ability to just use attack reactions or, buff the cards buff themselves. Because that's kind of stepping away, that meta is sort of stepping away, Snag is seeing less usefulness in this current meta, but also this reprint, of course, did come across and reduce the price back to its like $20 status. I think that's a fine price for a Silver Bullet card, and of course, this card doesn't necessarily need to see play right away. That being said, this wasn't reprinted heavily. It was reprinted at a very small rate. And it's with the same mindset that we got with something like New Horizon. New Horizon released in Tales of Aria, got a reprint just now. Snag released in Crucible of War, the 3rd set ever, in like 2020. It released in 2020, and here it is being reprinted in Super Slam. So now people have some more access to it, and I think that's the real play. It's just a small Silver Bullet reprinting. Makes some sense. It's not necessarily about reducing the price. It's more about maintaining a population of that card in the market. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about a little bit later. But before we do, let's talk about Warmongers, because this is my favorite way that they hit a reprint in this set. But I don't know how successful it's actually being or going to continue to be. Nevertheless, I enjoy this the most. Warmonger's Diplomacy is a card in a similar vein as Snag that is sort of a Silver Bullet in and out of the meta type card. When this applies to certain heroes, everybody plays 3 of it, right? If it applies to heroes that are pretty decently well, you just jam the 3 in because it's a blue block 3. What they did with this, instead of just printing Warmonger's Diplomacy like they did in Dusk Till Dawn, is they actually rarity upped it. They pushed it up 1 rarity level from Majestic to Legendary. It's not the first time they've done this. They did that with Command and Conquer. They leveled it up to a Legendary in, I think it was in Heavy Hitters, maybe? Was it Heavy Hitters? Someone tell me in the comments below. No, it was in the Hunted, right? I think it was in the Hunted. And then, of course, they printed it at the Fabled rarity in the Dynasty set. So you could pick up the Fabled as well. I believe it was the Fabled in that set. Yes, I think so. Or maybe it was Everfest. I don't know. I was sick for that set, and I remember opening it while delirious. So whatever it was, I'm not sure. Either way, Warmonger's Diplomacy gets the same treatment, and it actually gets it really cool too, because it's a Legendary, they print it at Rainbow Foil and at Cold Foil. So they're not going crazy with the amount that they're printing it. They kind of printed it like they short printed the Snag reprint in this set. They kind of print it like that because it's a Legendary, but they give you 2 versions of it alongside of the other one. And the other cool thing is they, of course, give it new art. and they time lock the art to this set because they give you, Pallades is in there, or for those out there that like to say Pleiades the way it's actually stated, help yourself. Lyath is in there. You can see all the heroes are sort of tucked in to the different spots, and I think that's the coolest part to me. They give you like a cold foil printing, they give you a rainbow foil printing, and they give you a new art. I like this type of reprint. Is it affecting the price that much? It's affecting it perhaps enough. If I go back and look at the Warmonger's Diplomacy original print run, you can see it's already coming down. And some of that over the past 3 months is the fact that it's seeing less play in decks. But overall, the price coming down is a good thing, because when this card was sitting at $80, that's not okay. For this type of card, I don't know if you can justify the $80 price tag. For a Command and Conquer, that $60 range, I can understand. I'm not saying I like it, but I can understand it. I don't really have a problem with it. But a Warmonger's Diplomacy style thing, no. That card is far better suited at this price point and with multiple options to kind of bling out your deck. I like that. Now, this is the sticking point, because the question is, how do they approach this going forward, and what cards need the reprints the most? And I have my druthers here, to use an old Southern term. They need to reprint Balance of Justice so fast it hurts. This card right now is the king of the meta. It is the headpiece of choice. I don't know how you're not playing this unless you just desperately need the headpiece that you have in like every deck. Now, that is a benefit. It is a benefit that this is being played, by everyone, and that it's a generic and you can play it in every deck, because there are so many heroes that this is almost required against. All the brutes draw 2 cards very easily. All of the ninjas that you might see access to right now have the capacity of drawing cards. Dash.io can draw 2 cards. Even some of your gold generating heroes can draw 2 cards. Acilio can draw 2 cards. This just gets heavily played. The problem is that, even at of course, there's like very few left on the market because it is so playable right now. But even at like the $150 to $200 mark of that rainbow foil that it was there for a while, that's just so prohibitively expensive to ask any player that wants to play at a calling, that can see the power level of this card into such a wide swath of the meta, to say, here, buy this $200 single card that's going to live on the board for everything. You can have it forever. You can play it forever. It's not going to get banned. It'll play for the life. Sometimes it won't be as good. Sometimes it'll be great. This card may be even better than Arcanite Skullcap in that respect, playability long term. But it's still just hard to ask new players to say, hey, drop this, especially when there's only a couple on the market. And if you're not, a lot of people right now are using websites like this to say, well, this is what the card is valued, because if we're going to trade, we got to see if we have relative value. That's a problem, right? So this is, in my opinion, suspect number 1, or maybe even 1A for reprints. And the other one hurts me deeply to my core, because I don't own this card. I don't own this card. And it's the first, Pirates Are Here to Stay card, man. Shelter from the Storm. This is one of the best in slot generic defense reactions. It's locked at Majestic. Oh, man. It is great in this meta when you want to stop ping damage against specific heroes. You can bring it in for Arcane. You, of course, bring it in against Syndra, one of the best heroes in the game right now. And it's just too expensive. You can't afford to pick up a playset of this unless you're really just saying, I need to play at multiple callings. I need to, to me, this is, I don't own this card, and I haven't sought out for trading or buying this card, because I'm just like, it's hard to justify. It's a generic D-React. That's great. Okay, so I could play it as a D-React, but those cards, at this point in the game's life, I don't necessarily want to be, dedicating 3 slots to the generic D-React. So they, of course, think that through, and they give you the secondary effect. But by this being a hard-to-get card in the Hunted, when the Hunted was maybe underprinted versus the demand, and you couldn't get as many boxes as you want, and then it's at Majestic, and then they have the secondary foiling of it, which I think is a smart play, because maybe it gets you more supply, or maybe that cuts into the original supply. Either way, this card needs to be reprinted as well. I would love for them to keep the art and just print it, I guess, at non-foil, or give us another pirate. Give us a cool pirate art as well, with the, maybe level it up. I don't know. It's hard for me because I love the pirate art, And I think Rio Sabda did just an incredible job with this piece. But it should not be $95, and I can't justify picking it up myself. And then finally, this is the one that I think a lot of people are talking about right now. Playable Fables. I have a love-hate relationship with them because I have always played my Fables, whether it be in Ultimate Pit Fight or in Classic Constructed or in Blitz. So the Fables to me have always been playable, but this type of meta-defining card, or really deck-defining card is the better way to say it, I can understand the pushback from it. I like this, but it's a pirate card. I mean, it's obviously a generic resource gem. Riches isn't even the culprit right now that makes me kind of upset. It's actually Authority of Ataya that I'm looking at going, dang, do I really have to pick that up just so that I can play against some D-React type metas? I might have to, but this card being the high price that it is, this is frustrating for a lot of people as well, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it. I understand, though. I would actually prefer this occasionally, and I know that's a crazy statement after everything that I've said, but let's say that we have a bunch of Fables that are just fun to collect and probably not playable, or you could splash into a deck here and there and it would do something fine. It's like a side grade card to something else, right? I think that's cool. I like the idea of having one of these types of cards every couple of years be really powerful, but I recognize that this could be the thing, the result that comes from that. And maybe it's not worth it, but I like the idea of there being this like secret chase card. You know, this, of course, this fabled card. Everyone's heard about it, and it being super powerful. It tells a story in and of itself. I like that. And will this card ever come down in price? Yes, I think that they're going to reprint it. I think they're going to reprint it next time we see Pirates, and I think it's going to maybe get a new art. Maybe it's going to be a ton of like gold or something, and it's going to finally come in cold foil. So this could just be a right now problem, but it's quite noticeable. Is it played in every single deck? No. But in like Victor, in Kasai, in maybe you could argue in some of the other pirate heroes, you would splash this. But we'll see. We'll see where this price ends up. And I do think that they're very careful about their playable Fables, but this one and Authority of Ataya, for those that don't know, Authority of Ataya, these two cards, oh, it didn't do the thing. If I refresh, will it do the thing? Maybe. There it is. Authority of Ataya, also quite playable right now, specifically because of the Earth Heroes. This is definitely something that, I don't know. We'll see where they go with their Fables going forward. I know a lot of people are pretty upset, and this is one I'm like, I think I might have to buy that just for this meta and play it in like Kasai. I'm not sure on it still. I'm playing it. Anyway, it is what it is. So reprints, where they're going, where they've gone, I think these reprints are good. I think some of these reprints maybe could see further reprints going forward, and they desperately need to reprint cards like Balance of Justice. Am I way off base, or what should they reprint next? Let me know in a comment below. And of course, if you like this type of video and you want to see more of it, make the number go to the other number. As always, thanks for watching.